Hello. In this video, we'll learn how to solve a quadratic equation using the method of factorization. For example, when we have x squared plus 3x minus 10 equals 0, first we need to multiply the coefficient of x squared, which is 1, by the constant term 10. So 1 times negative 10 gives us negative 10, the coefficient of x squared by the constant term. Then we look for two numbers. When we add, will give us the middle term 3. But when we multiply, will give us negative 10. Two numbers when we add will give us positive 3, but when we multiply, we get negative 10. The numbers are 5 and negative 2, because 5 plus negative 2 is positive 3, but 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. So we substitute this 5 and 2 in place of 3x. So this will give us x squared plus 5x minus 2x minus 10 equals 0. It doesn't matter which one comes first. We can see these two equations are the same because this is x squared, this is x squared. This is 3x. This is 5x minus 2x is also 3x. Negative 10 equal to 0. So these two are the same. Now we can take the first two terms and factorize. The common term among the first two terms is x. If we take x out, we have x plus 5. Because when we open the bracket, x times s gives x squared, and x times 5 gives 5x. We come to the next two terms. For the next two terms, we can see this is negative 2, this is 10. So negative 2 is common. If we take negative 2 out, you'll be left with x plus 5. Because if we open the bracket, negative 2 times x gives negative 2x. And negative 2 times positive 5 gives negative 10 equals 0. So nothing has changed. This is the same as this, and this is the same as this. We can see that this is x plus 5, x plus 5. Whenever you choose the right terms for the middle, you will always get a common factor out. Like this is x plus 5 and x plus 5. So x plus 5 is common to both these two terms. So we can factorize x plus 5 out. If we factorize x plus 5 out, for the first term, if we take out x plus 5, we'll be left with only x. For the second term, if we take out x plus 5, we'll be left with only negative 2. And that will be equal to 0. So now, we can see that x plus 5 times x minus 2 is 0. Whenever we multiply two terms and we get 0, it means one of them is 0. So in this case, either x plus 5 is 0 or x minus 2 is 0. If x plus 5 is 0, then clearly x is negative 5 because we can take positive 5 across the equal to sign to become negative. Or if x minus 2 is 0, then x is positive 2 because we can take negative 2 there. So these are the answers. We can check if our answers are correct. That we can substitute x equals negative 5 into this equation, the original equation, to see if it satisfies it. Let's check and see. If x is negative 5, we substitute this, so we got x squared, so that becomes negative 5 squared, plus 3x, that is plus 3x is negative 5, minus 10, this must be 0. Negative 5 squared is positive 25. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15, minus 10. This must be 0. Of course, 25 minus 15 is positive 10. 10 minus 10 is 0. So this is correct. Let's check if x is positive 2 is correct. We substitute it into the original equation. So this is x squared, so it becomes positive 2 squared plus 3x. So plus 3 times x, x is 2, minus 10. This must be 0. 2 squared is 4. 3 times 2 is 6, minus 10, and that is 0. 4 plus 6 is 10. 10 minus 10 is 0. So x equals 2 is correct. Let's check another example. If we have x squared minus 7x plus 12 being 0, the same approach we applied in the first one. The coefficient of x squared here is 1. So we multiply the coefficient of x squared by 12. We have positive 12. So we look for two numbers. When we multiply, we get positive 12. But when we add, we get the middle term. The middle term here is negative 7. Two numbers, when you multiply, you get 12. But when you add, you get negative 12. Of course, these numbers are negative 3 and negative 4. Because negative 3 plus negative 4 gives us negative 7. But negative 3 times negative 4 gives us positive 12. So we substitute negative 3 and negative 4 in place of negative 7x. So this gives us x squared. In place of negative 7x, we put negative 3x and negative 4x. Of course, we have plus 12, and that is 0. We can see these two equations are the same because this is x squared, this is x squared. This is negative 7x. Negative 3x minus 4x is negative 7x plus 12 equals 0. So nothing has changed from the original equation. Now we can factorize. If we take the first two terms, x is common to both sides, so we can factorize x out. If we take x out, we have x minus 3. Then we come to the next two terms. For the next two terms, we can see 4 is common, so we can factorize negative 4 out. If we factorize negative 4 out, we have x minus 3, because negative 4 times x is negative 4x, and negative 4 times negative 3 is positive 12. So we have equal to 0. So nothing has changed. One more time, if you do it properly, if you choose the right terms and you factorize properly, you will have a common term, common factor among them, x minus 3, x minus 3, just like we had here, x plus 5, x plus 5. So in this case, x minus 3 is common to both of these terms. So we can factorize x minus 3 out. If we factorize x minus 3 out, we will be left with x for the first term. If we take x minus 3 out from the first term, we'll be left with x. From the second term, if we take x minus 3 out, we'll be left with x minus 4, and that will be equal to 0. X minus 3 times x minus 4 is 0. Whenever you multiply two terms and you get 0, it means one of them is 0. So in this case, it's either x minus 3 is 0 or x minus 4 is 0. If x minus 3 is 0, we can take negative 3 to the other side to become positive 3. If x minus 4 is 0, we can take negative 4 to the other side to become positive 4. So x equals positive 3, x equals 4 are the answers. You can check just like we did here by substituting 3 into the original equation to see if you get 0, or by putting 4 into the original equation to see if you get 0. All right, let's look at a condition where the coefficient of x squared is not 1. For example, if you have 5x squared plus 19x plus 12 equals 0. The same approach, we multiply the coefficient of s squared by the constant term here. So 5 times 12, that will give us 60. 5 times 12 is 60. So we look for two numbers. When we multiply, we get 60. But when we add, we get the middle term. When we add, we get 19. Which two numbers could that be? If we multiply, we get 60. But when we add, we get 19. I think it's 15 and 4. Because 15 plus 4 is 19. And 15 times 4 is 60. So we substitute 15 and 4 in place of 19x. It doesn't matter which one comes first. So 5x squared plus 15x plus 4x, of course, plus 12 equals 0. These two equations are the same because 5x squared is 5x squared plus 19x is the same as 15x plus 9x plus 4x, sorry. 15x plus 4x is also 19x. We got plus 12 equals 0. So these two equations are the same. Now we can factorize. We factorize the first two terms and also the next two terms. If we take the first two terms, 5 is common to both terms and x is also common to both terms. So we can factorize 5x out. If we take 5x out, we have x plus 3 because 5x times x is 5x squared. 5x times 3 is 15x. Now we come to the next two terms. If we take 4x and 12, 4 is common. So we can factorize 4 out. If we take 4 out, we have x plus 3. Because 4 times x is 4x. And 4 times 3 is 12 equals 0. Just like in the previous two terms, if you factorize properly, you have a common term, x plus 3 among them. Just like we had x minus 3, and x plus 5, x plus 5. So we can see x plus 3 is common to both terms. So we can factorize x plus 3 out. If we take x plus 3 out from this term, we have 5x. If we take x plus 3 out from this term, we have 4. And this is equal to 0. Whenever you multiply two terms and you get 0, it means one of them is 0. So in this case, either x plus 3 is 0 or 5x plus 4 is 0. If x plus 3 is 0, then x is negative 3. If 5x plus 4 is 0, then 5x will be negative 4. And x will be negative 4 over 5 when we divide both sides by 5. You can check if your answer is correct by putting x equals negative 3 into the original equation. You must get 0. Or negative 4 over 5 in the original equation. You must get 0. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. See you again for the next lesson.